Newborn Movement Assessment. This is Michelle, and this is Madison. Madison is going to start to show you the Newborn Movement Assessment. Now, in the future videos we have coming up, we'll be doing this on actual babies, but I want to show you first of all the 17 rotational points that I've identified on the body. These points have to be in a neutral zone. In other words, be able to rotate to each side at birth. Now, if you're worried about the stability of your child, obviously that can be done later, but as you can see here in some of these NICU videos, that still, even in a NICU, I've worked as low as 875 grams, almost unresponsive, to stimulate a system, but that has to be done with your doctor. I'm working right now with some hospitals, and hopefully we'll be able to provide that kind of data soon, but right now this is to be done with your child. My end goal is to go tandem with the APGAR scores. So when you're looking and identifying a child, again, 17 rotational points. Now, some are symmetrical rotational points and some are individual, and so we'll go over both. Obviously, be both ankles, both knees, both hips, but now you also want the pelvis, you want the spine, wrist, elbows, shoulders, neck, head. So we're going to go over that all again individually, but those are the areas that I'm looking for. Now, it doesn't matter if you start with the baby from the feet first to the head. I'm going to show you both ways. And at the same time, your child could be sleeping. So they don't have to be awake, alert, paying attention, and they can be wiggling about, as you'll see in my assessments that I'm showing you within this course series, so you can get a better idea of how to work with various children. So I'm going to start with Madison feet first. Again, you can start from the side, from up the foot, and I'm just going to see, again, very gentle. The foot can be in anywhere in space, but I want that rotation to show up. My big concern with the feet, obviously, especially if the foot really wants to point out, we have concerns there if the foot is pointing out, or you're seeing any kind of dysmorphic feature. I was born with club feet. But also you do not want the windshield wiper. So ideally, this is not what you're looking for. You're looking for more of an X kind of rotation. I'll show you with Madison. So a windshield wiper, I would have concerns because, again, the foot might be crossing midline the toes, but you're not getting that rotation within the ankle. So you really want that ability to get more of it, I'd say an X. See how the heel can jump from side to side versus this. So I'm going to be assessing the foot. Now I'm going to go into the knee. And what you're looking for here, I've identified as well different midline points. Another midline point here is the knee. And you want that to be able to cross like a little flag, that cross midline. So again, if you've got a windshield wiper foot, then you might only see where the leg wants to come in here, or here, where you're seeing maybe a low tone and they're presenting, and you'll see children with that. You're going to go into the hips. There's several ways of doing the hips. Really, you're just looking for that rotation. What's also going to happen, like you saw on the wave machine with the sticks, is you're going to see that counter. If I go to move the foot here, and even the Madison, the doll does, because again, her liquid rate. Do you see how I pull the left, the right goes up. I go in here, the right goes down, just like that wave machine. When your child is presenting in a more typical manner, you will see that counter automatically. That's why I'm saying all I have to do is do this. And I feel where that counter is, we can go back just to show you here as well. So if I'm here, see how, again, that wave machine reacts. Your baby will be doing that. That's why they feel so good in your arms, because every movement that they make, or you make, they respond right to you. And that's where one of the beautiful little blisses of little babies are. So I'm coming underneath here just to look sort of like the water bowl. All of this, again, it could be just like the water bowl. just like I showed you, no difference. Again, I'm just sitting here like this, just moving around. Same thing, same touch. And now I'm going to want to go and do the other foot. Now I'm going to want to go in and do the other foot. I'm just going to go in here. Why do I do both feet? Because your baby can be different. If you've had a C-section and it was leg first and that doctor went in there, you want to make sure that that doctor, let's say, didn't leave an imprint on the movement. You just don't know. There could be a genetic condition going on where you have a muscular response different. This really will give you a lot of information. Use the score sheet that I'm provided here. The PDF is right there for your download. I would highly recommend as well, if you have any questions, to buy the book coming underneath the hip. Now notice here too, because of the baby, I've got the whole leg in my hand, but I can evaluate the foot, the knee, and the pelvis. This is another way of doing it. Another way that I really like with the babies, depending where they're at, especially if they're concerned with rotation, as you'll see in the one video where the legs are more here, where I'm calling a high response infant, is I get underneath here, almost like driving a car, and I'm just a little bit to the right and a little bit to the left. What that looks like here, just a little bit. I'm not grabbing. I can do it all from here. I can do it from here. Really, it's just like diapering a baby. When you're sitting there doing the diapering, you can come here, you know how you bring the diaper around, you're really just doing this little assessment. And you should see what's going on. Now I'm going to go to the wrist. The rotation should present when they're sleeping, high response, low response, that always should be there. And I'm going to go into the wrist. Now, a big one I want to look at, especially, now the big one that I want to look at is the elbow. Remember how I talked about the windshield wiper of the foot? Same thing with the elbow. If you're seeing that the elbow does not want to cross midline, meaning that you're not seeing that flag of that elbow, you want to keep an eye on that. Because the rotation shouldn't come per se by like a pull, but that in and out of that elbow. And then you're going to go up to that shoulder. That shoulder will be just, again, crossing midline, top of shoulder is one way. You can get underneath and just do a little circle, but I'm not looking for anything like that. You do not want to at all pull the arms away from the baby. I'm not a fan of a gallant because of that pulling away from the baby. Babies in a womb, the baby is like a peanut. Not that it necessarily still needs to be in the fetal position. I'm not into swaddling for that reason. The baby needs to be able to move in and out. And you really do not want, when you have not really assessed your child for movement. I don't like when the child is assessed in a way that's beyond them. I get it, they're supposed to respond in a certain way. But for certain people, again, that grab, the way that they grab, they're not taught touch, and that's not something you want to play with. I'm going over to the other arm. Now notice I'm crossing the baby here. I could go around the side, but I'm crossing. Going into the elbow. Notice too, elbow up, hand down. You see that counter. No different than really in that wave machine. Going underneath the shoulders. I can do a very similar patterning I just did with the pelvis, where I'm scooping underneath this way now, and I'm just looking for a little boat. What that kind of looks like here, you do not have to put these things on top of your child. That's not what I'm after. But just to show you again, my touch. See, I'm just looking for that little boat in the water, how it just goes around on the wave. Now from here, I can still do the neck. I'm going to just come underneath here and scooping my baby's head. Now, if you have concerns, you're really going to feel it here. The nose wants to cross midline or should want to cross midline. Another way of doing it is, hi sweetheart, hi sweetheart. Now you're not on a newborn going to have that kind of eye function, but they will be responding to your stimuli of going around. And also if you do that, you'll want to twist, and that'll twist. If you're going to do something like that and you're constantly getting this, or they're going away from you that way, that's where you have to start looking at that. If the rotational points are off, you're scoring, let's say, a 15 or higher, that's where you're going to really start showing those kind of things. Any kind of torticollis, and we're going to get into that, so I'm not going to get into it too much with this video because this is really just the assessment. Now from this position, you can do the newborn assessment. I'm going to do this one a little bit quicker, but just so you see. Again, scooping just like the bowl of water. It's your baby, you know that. But they come right, I'm not grabbing the head. You have soft spots, you're just learning to deal with yourself. And I'm just coming underneath, I'm showing you here. But it's not so much that I'm going to the left or to the right. I'm actually dropping down my hand and dropping down my hand. So my right hand drops down, my left will come up. My left hand drops down, my right will come up. Versus again that left, right, left, right. So I'm doing the head, the neck area. From here, again, both shoulders are presenting, so I can do that left, right. Or just a little, I call a little strawberry hold, where I can just check that rotation. I'm doing two at the same time. And here again, look at this. The arms are presenting in rotation. See how the elbows crossing midline, the elbows crossing midline. But now I can cross over, and if you do the elbow and do the wrist. Notice the counter. Elbow up, hand down, coming over. Again, same thing, wrist, rotation, rotation through the elbow. Coming down through the pelvis. That left, right. Coming down through the knees, that left, right. Now again, do not take a baby and bring their leg over if you're coming down like that. But again, you can do both, that left, right, and that left, right. Now what we didn't talk about yet is the spine. Now, as the shoulders and the pelvis goes, you should see that the spine has a twist. You really want to note that. I cannot begin to tell you how many 5-month-old babies I have. There's no rotation right here. And so you have a baby that looks great, and they're just sort of kicking, but I'm not getting that movement at all through here, especially through the top part of the chest. And when that chest isn't moving, guess what? That baby's never going to sit up. It's just impossible. You can't make a movement out of a movement that's not there. And that's why we're here. We're here to check to make sure the baby is available for movement. Now, if your baby is just lying on their side, it is very easy to just check. Sort of looks like tuning a piano, spinal rotation. I'm not looking for this. There's a lot of therapies that do that. I don't agree. It's not a functional movement. A newborn baby is not reaching for something. It's only when they reach for something on purpose that you start seeing the counter of the pelvis. So again, to put that kind of movement into their system, way too early, and it's way too violent. And I'm just going in, and again too, notice how coming down. Now, if you see a jump, a startle, that would be something to note. But if you're seeing a startling, then I can guarantee you have issues with rotation in the elbows and the feet. And those are the things you want to look at. You can be right here as well. And just, I'm looking for where if the left is down, the right is up, vice versa, that counter, just like a little boat. And that's spinal rotation. Again, from here. See how the nose is crossing midline, sternum is crossing midline. You're not doing this. Do you see how there's no rotation then of the spine, and then that's where there's concerns on where that's going to possibly have complications developmentally, your movement age, as well as needing to really watch the health of your child. Now we're going on to a couple of babies, so let's go to the next video. Thank you.